Okay, welcome once again to Philosophy Online Lecture. Today we are on medieval philosophy, and our first stop is one of the greatest medieval philosophers, Saint Augustine, who lived between 350 to 430 AD. Okay, Saint Augustine philosophy made attempts to reconcile faith and reason, that is, to reconcile Christian belief and philosophical thinking. Okay, so he was of the view that both can aid each other objective, that our faith, the Christianity can aid philosophical pursuit for truth, and also philosophy can aid religion, rational inquiry too. Okay, so now St. Augustine was born into a Christian home, but he drifted away from Christianity because he had a quest for uh, knowledge. He had a problem where he was seeking for answers to some truths like the existence of God and the problem of evil. Okay, but that is just brief, some brief on his background. Also, he was influenced by Plato, and Plato philosophy appealed to him because Plato talked about the separation of the spiritual from the physical, that is, the separation of the soul from the body. You get the world of ideas and the world of individuals. Okay, his uh, hunger, quest for knowledge was actually inspired by Cicero and another philosopher, Hortensius. Okay, so now we are going to look at various areas on St. Augustine. We're going to look at his epistemology, we're going to look at his existence of God, we're going to look at his ethics, problem of evil, we're going to look at his concept of time also, and then we are going to, I think, those are the major areas we'll be looking to. Okay, so now St. Augustine, on his epistemology, he said that for the fact that we doubt things, it's proof that we exist. So it was actually the first to use this, not René Descartes. Okay, so he used this to reject the claim of the skeptics that we cannot know anything. He said that for the fact that we doubt, it points to the fact that we doubting exist. Okay, we that doubt exist. So there was a claim that what if we are being deceived? He said for the fact that we are deceived itself, the object that is being deceived must exist. Okay, so that points to the fact that we exist. And also, like Plato, he said that the objects of our knowledge are immaterial, eternal, and immutable. What this means is that the body of knowledge, where we derive knowledge from, are immaterial. And Plato talked about the world of forms, but to Augustine, he didn't call it the word of form. He called this object of our knowledge the mind of God, or the divine light. Now, Plato said it is the word of forms that illuminates the human intellect. That is, there's a way we build our soul, that we are able to grasp eternal truth from this word of form, that we're able to grasp knowledge. Plato was an idealist. Okay, he wasn't a materialist. So he was of the fact that once we build our soul, we can grasp eternal truth, universal truth from the word of forms. But Augustine said that this mind of God is what illuminates the human intellect. That is, we're able to grasp eternal truth when they are being made accessible to us by the mind of God, the divine light. She gets. So that is briefly on his epistemology. On the existence of God, St. Augustine used the argument of cause and effect. For every effect, there's a cause. And if we want to look for the effect of anything, we have to the cause of any effect, we have to trace it through the effect to the cause. I hope you get this. Like, uh, if you say, what's the effect of the scarcity of Naira? We have to trace it to the cause. What's the cause? This new CBN policy. Okay, so now he said that there's cause and effect in the universe, and from the effect we know the cause. Okay, so by this, from every creations which are effects, we know the cause, which is the creator. Okay, so there's a creator. Hope you are getting it now. That is one. uh, Also, he said that we are being illuminated to grasp eternal truth. Okay, now for we to be illuminated to grasp eternal truth, that means there is a source of all this eternal truth, and that is which was the source, God. Okay, and also he said that the human mind has a natural conviction of God existing. That is, naturally on our mind, we have that conviction that God exists. Okay, so that is another proof for the existence of God. And also, lastly, on his proof for the existence of God, he said that God has included a gem, GERM, in every being. This gem leads for further development of every other being. That is, every being that comes into being is as a result of this gem that has been put into every creation. Like for human now, we have that gem, so we are able to produce other humans. The trees are able to produce again. Every creation of God are able to produce again. Okay, so for this to happen, a supreme being must have included a gem in every creation so that there can be further development. Okay, so that is how we end his uh, existence of God argument. Okay, on ethics, St. Augustine said man has a strong desire for happiness, that if we do not get this happiness, we cannot rest, and this happiness cannot be found in any other object except for from God. So the perfect happiness that man seek for is in God. Okay, so now, so because it is in God, we strive to do everything to get the happiness from God. He has made us to seek him and rest in him. Okay, so now, moving further on his ethics, he said, man has the will to do good or evil. Still on his ethics, we have the will to either do good or evil. However, God has placed a moral law on our hearts. So, just as our human intellect is able to grasp eternal truth, universal truth, our human intellect is also able to grasp practical truths. These practical truths are the fundamental principles of morality. So, the practical truths are what those things we put into actions, okay, and they are the fundamental principles of morality, and we are able to grab them through the same way we are able to grab theoretical truth. Okay, so moving ahead, he said that man is morally weak. We are morally weak, and that is why we need the help of God. We need God's grace in order to do what is good, in order to observe moral laws. Now, when we observe moral laws, St. Augustine said that we belong to the city of God. And this is where he said that there are two cities, the city of God and that of man. Okay, now the city of God is for those that do good. The city of man is for those that flout the moral laws. Okay, now on the problem of evil, St. Augustine wondered that God is good, so he couldn't have created evil. Okay, so he sought for answers. This was one thing that he sought answers for. Now, he first of all accepted the answers of one school, the school of the Manichaeans. The Manichaeans school of thought said that there are two principles in the universe: the principle of good called Hormus, and the principle of evil called Ahriman. Now, it is from the principle of good that the soul emanated from. It is from the principle of evil that the body emanated from. Now, because these two principles are always in conflict with each other, that is why we have evil in the world. So that was the point of the Manichaeans on why evil was in the world. Augustine first of all accepted it, but moving further, he rejected it. Okay, so what was that he finally accepted? That of Plotinus. Plotinus was the uh, founder of Neoplatonism. To them, to Plotinus rather, evil is not a substance. Evil was not created by God. Evil is not a being, but evil is the absence of good. That is, in the absence of the creation of God, which is good. Every creation of God is good. There, in the absence of them, is where we have evil. So evil is the privation of being. That is, evil is the privation of good. So evil cannot be said to be a substance. Evil also, since it is not a substance, cannot exist on its own, as it is the privation of man's integrity. That is an absence of man integrity. Okay, so that is that in which Augustine agreed with. Okay, that God did not create evil. Okay, so he also pointed that, because in his essence we said man has the will to either do good or evil. So this free will of man has also led to evil in the world, because since we have the choice to do evil, that means there's a place for evil to happen in the world. So it is this choice that man has that also contributes to evil. Now, lastly, on St. Augustine, his concept of time. Now, Augustine said time is elusive. What do you mean by time is elusive? The time of this YouTube video where you have listened thus far is 12 minutes. Now is one, is two, is three. You see, it keeps going, it keeps going. So it cannot be explained. He said that if you want to explain it, it eludes him. Okay, so he said that time is not something that can be explained. He said that we have past, present, and future. He said the past and future does not exist, and the present is only a passing moment. You can see that this the as I'm when I'm speaking now it keep moving, so it's only a passing moment. So the past is just nothing but what we remember. The past is nothing but what we remember. The future is nothing but expectations on our mind, those things we expect on our mind. So it is the present that help us reflect, or reference both the past and the future. Okay, so what he's saying is, in essence, is that time is just a mental phenomenon that exists on the mind alone. Okay, but God himself is not outside time. Okay, God is outside time. Okay, he is eternal, as we all know. Okay, so all things are eternally present in him. He is not under time. He is omnipresent. He is not localized to time. Okay, so that is on Saint Augustine. I really do hope you get much more on him. You can read other books, handouts to understand more on St. Augustine. But that is in brief of St. Augustine as a medieval philosopher. Thank you so much for listening to. God bless you.